Welcome to Causing the Effect, a podcast focused on the exploration of your mind, body, and spirit.
My man, Robert Contreras, how you feeling, my brother?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good actually. So we got 3 weeks left in this diet. Last time we talked, I think I was like 10 weeks out. So
Yeah. So to give everybody a little bit of an update, if you want more color, the September 1st episode that dropped, episode 224, with Robert was the first one, mental health progression through fitness. Robert's just bodybuilder, coach, just all around good dude. That's all I really care about, talking to people who are good dudes. And so we are 3 weeks out of this, your first like real deal bodybuilding competition, right?
yeah, so the class that I'm competing in is men's physique, and I'm competing in the Whitney Jones Classic. So it's a local bodybuilding show here in Arizona. It's in Mesa. But yeah, this has been an interesting prep for sure. It's my very first prep for this show, or like for a show. And honestly, it's definitely been a wake up call because I've been doing this whole fitness thing for 10 plus years. I started when I was 15 years old. I talked about it in the last episode, but the fact that I started 10 years ago and like 10 years of progression through this craft of, fitness and health, and doing this show really put in perspective how much I don't know about fitness and health. And it's true across the board for everybody. Everybody's constantly learning. Nobody knows everything. And that's kind of the beauty of this entire thing.
I think there's something about having the that like beginner's mentality across the board here. That just like there's just nuances, like not that we're cutting corners, but it shows you like this is the true path, the hardest path, which it seems that it could get really hard 3 weeks out. And I see you every night. I think Rob's doing what, 45 minutes of cardio every night?
I actually bumped it up to an hour of
You're out of
cardio.
control. Bro, you're out of control.
Yeah, so I ended up so I work out basically before work in the morning, and then I go to work, and then after work I would do my cardio. But since I bumped it up to an hour, doing an hour of cardio after work is like dreadful. So I ended up actually, splitting my cardio up into 2 sessions. So I'll do 30 minutes after my workout, and then when I get off work, I'll go and do my last 30 minutes of cardio. But that's what works the best for me, and that's honestly like what I advocate for a lot of people. Is not everyone is going to have the same way of training. The best routine that you can do is the one that's gonna work for you, in the long run. So, doing my workout schedule compared to someone who doesn't have that same schedule, like it's not gonna work out. So you just got to do what works best for you. If you want to do that hour of cardio and that's the only way that you're able to do your cardio, then that's perfectly fine. But me personally, I like to break it up a little bit because that hour on the stairs is absolutely miserable. So
How, like, what are you looking for as you progress through this, as you go through progressions? Obviously, trying to lose body fat, trying to look sexy, but like from a pound standpoint, from a macro standpoint, like what are you looking at? Because if I recall, you're doing this yourself.
yeah, so I'm doing this entire show myself. I would say like 90 to 98% of the competitors out there have hired, IFBB coaches, pros, like all that kind of stuff. And I'm doing this entire show by myself. And kind of my whole like reasoning behind this is to show people that it sounds kind of weird and kind of opposite of what I'm trying to do, because I am like a coach and I do, coach people and whatnot. But I want to show people that you can do literally anything that you set your mind to, and you don't need help from anyone. Like if you wanted to learn a specific skill, like working out, or you wanted to learn computer programming, or we wanted to work on cars, like you don't need to go to school for. You don't need to hire anybody to teach you. Like all the information is out there online. All you have to do is just put in the work, the time, the effort to research it, and then apply that to your day-to-day life.
Now, we'll get a little deep on you philosophically. Why do you think, like, where do you think that comes from, of doing everything yourself, that you could do it yourself? Because that kind of hits with me a little bit too, because that's kind of the path I've decided to take in my life.
Yeah, so I think I think personally, like, it has a lot to do with like my childhood. So like I wasn't obviously like a lot of you obviously don't know, but I wasn't given a lot when I was a kid. I grew up like pretty poor, you know, essentially homeless a lot of the time. And my parents didn't necessarily have the means to give me I wouldn't even say like everything, but like very, very minimal stuff, like just the basics. So being able to lack that, I think I developed a mindset early on, like after high school, of me having to do everything on my own. Perfect example is, you know, I told you about my divorce last time.
Yep.
I was essentially paying for two apartments. I had to pay for the apartment that my ex-wife was living at. And then I also was paying for my apartment too, because I felt so bad that I didn't want to just like leave her, because her grandma was in the picture and it was just this whole like complicated mess. So I was paying for two apartments. And, you know, my brother came to me and he was like, hey, like, why don't you just stay here, like at my place? You can live here rent free, you know, until you get back on your feet, you know, so on and so forth. And I essentially declined that. And everyone's like, why are you declining that? And it's like, they don't understand like the fact that I don't like taking stuff from people for free, because I feel like everyone has to go through struggle to get better in life. And that goes with everything, in terms of, you know, your job, your family. Having to go through these struggles is like who makes you as a person. And I feel like if I didn't go through the struggles that I went through when I was a child, you know, or, you know, growing up, I wouldn't be at the point that I'm at right now, and I wouldn't have the same mindset. So I'm honestly like truly appreciative for the childhood that I went through, because it made me who I was today. And that's kind of like the reason why I do everything myself currently, and research everything myself, and, you know, do everything myself. So
Wow. I didn't know any of that, Rob. That's freaking crazy. So basically, but not homeless, just like it was really tough. Homeless?
that was actually pretty homeless
Oh my
for
God.
a little bit. Our whole family. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
it was
bro. And
honestly,
I'm sorry, man.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You know, everyone has their struggles. Everyone has their sob stories, you know, quote unquote. But you know, it's brought me to this point. And it's crazy because a lot of people, they have the choice to choose to go down either the path that, you know, their parents went down, or, you know, just a different path in general. And the fact that I was able to choose the path that I knew that I should be down, like, I'm extremely grateful for that. um and, you know, I'm living proof that no matter how you were brought up, you have the ability to like turn your life into something.
Yeah, man. And really on your own terms too. And it's I'll tell you, Rob, that like we're in the same kind of wavelength. I feel like we're the same style, but how you got there was paying your dues like throughout your life. I was given. I'm on the side of the spoiled kid, right? So everything was given to me, and let me tell you, like we all have to pay the price at some point. So you just,
Right.
as a kid, you were just chipping away, paying away, getting it. Like for me, I lived like I took that path that every kid in Brooklyn will take. You get married, and I get there and I go, oh my God, I had like a breakdown. And I very destructive. I had, blew all this money gambling. I become like this crazy go out person. It's like, oh, okay, I have to become a man. And that is where I learned. I learned everything you were learning your whole life. And that's what's hard like after a divorce, having $600 and then having to learn. I'm like, oh, can I even do this? Because in my neck of the woods, all the women are trying to do. Everybody's trying to do stuff for the men. It's like you're actually stunt. I know they do it out of love, but you're stunting the growth of a man by making us take on less responsibility. Because I feel like that's the only way you can really. The only way through your suffering is by taking more responsibility on your back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So it's crazy that you mentioned that, because I think it was yesterday I actually posted a video, and the audio was from an interview with Shia LaBeouf, and I can't remember his name, but it's the guy that played the Punisher in the
Yeah,
Marvel
John
shows.
John Berthel, real ones.
Yeah,
Real ones.
so there was an interview with that, and he was essentially saying, you know, as a man, like you have to die a little. Like you have to learn is to kill off what your pre-existing knowledge of something was, so that, you can learn. And that's essentially what learning was. And he was explaining that. And there's a lot of people, or there's a couple people that messaged me or left a comment on that video, and they were confused. They're like, that's a very confusing video. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I was like, if you really think about it, like being a man, like you have to when you learn something, like you literally have to, you have this preconceived idea of how something works. And for you to be able to learn about that and be able to fact check yourself, you have to kill off your pre-existing like mentality or knowledge of that subject, so that you can gain that correct knowledge or that factual knowledge. And that's the whole process of learning. And I was trying to explain, like, I used that video, and there's a lot of people that really didn't like, they couldn't understand it, and I had to explain it. So it's interesting that you actually bring that up, because I 100% believe that, you have to suffer, to be able to grow. So
Yeah. And listen, man, women, I think typically it's always the man, because us guys are talking about it, but people in general, particularly in this generation, when stuff is given to you so much, it's hard to find the suffering. And it's not that you want to be uncomfortable the whole time. Like, I'm sure, most of your day, you're doing stuff you feel comfortable. I'm hoping, right? Your job, your this, your that, your routine. But you have to, I think Jordan Peterson says it the best, like it's killing the dead, like burning the dead wood off yourself. But I think the psychological studies, like you should be doing something between like 7 to 15% of your day should be like in that uncomfortable zone. That way you get rid of it. Like some people could take on more than that. Like for me, I was like trying to do too many things, like a podcast, comedy. I was like, oh, you're just, because finding that balance of comfortability and comfortability, I think is such a crucial thing. Because if you push too much to the side of comfortability, you end up sitting on your thing, smoking weed and playing video games. But then if you go too much to the other side, you just kind of, you lose confidence. I think that's where that flow lies. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of what you're doing. Like, okay, I feel comfortable in bodybuilding, but I don't really feel comfortable. I've never done a competition. I'm going to try this, because I think that's where you find, like, you have to be on point. Like you can't fuck this up, which I think just brings the pressure. And with the pressure, you get to create the diamond.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they lack, and they struggle in finding their element. They struggle at finding what they're truly passionate about. And I think everyone in life is able to do exactly what they want to do, whatever they're passionate about. They're able to do it. They're able to turn what their hobby is into a business and scale it up into, you know, an unlimited amount of you know profit. And I think what a lot of people lack is they don't truly know what they want to do. And as soon as you find that element, as soon as you find that niche, like it's game over. Like all you have to do at that point is just fall forward. Everything is about, you know, like I said, I feel like this whole topic is about struggling, but at the same time, when you're struggling, you have to struggle forward. You have to fall forward, because no one's going to be perfect at anything. I was shit at editing. I was terrible at editing videos. I could pull up a video from 2015 and show it and be like, wow, like what is this atrocity? But I continued to make videos. I continued to edit. I continued to do my research. Go on YouTube, look up tutorials, tips, and I'm truly passionate about creating videos. I like the creative aspect of it, and I found my niche. I found my true passion of what I want to do, for the rest of my life. And I'm not just going to stay doing the, Instagram videos. I have plans in the future to, increase, like I said, fall forward. But I think that a lot of people, they fail at finding what they're truly passionate about. And I think people just need to do a little bit more searching in regards to that, of what they actually enjoy doing.
Yeah. And this is the biggest email I get weekly, Rob, is these kids saying, Scott, I don't know, I have this cool, same story, 9 to 5. I have this job and I want to break out of it and I want to do X, whatever. And I know we say we don't know what we want to do. I really think deep down, if you asked the universe, like, what do I want to do? Whatever pops up in your mind. I think most people are fearful of doing that thing. This one kid was talking about pottery. This other guy was talking about being a pro wrestler. It's like, do it. Like, just, I think that first step of getting into it, that imposter syndrome, and even me doing comedy, that was a weird it's a weird thing going from this to that. But that first step is the hardest. It's about being able to push through the fear almost of like what others think about you. Can you do it? Like you have to just say fuck it and just kind of run at it.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. So for perfect example, Instagram, I get a ridiculous amount of haters and trolls and those types of comments on my videos all the time. If I were to listen to those people and tell me, hey, well, this is cringe or stop doing this or any of that, if I were to listen to those people, it'd be over. You know what I mean? Like you're not doing it for like for me personally, I don't do it for those trolls. I don't do it for those haters. I do it for the people who actually benefit from it. And it's crazy because there is this kind of like mental, you have to have this mental talk with yourself of, okay, you're doing this for the people who benefit from it, not for the trolls and stuff like that. But whenever you do get that one troll or one comment, every few days, it seems like it kind of outweighs the good in a sense. And you have to have that talk with yourself, like, hey, don't listen to those people because it's just crazy because you have thousands of comments of people saying, oh, this helped me, this hits, or but it's that one person where you look at it and you're just like why? You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
just it's a mental challenge. You can't listen to the haters. You have to be able to have that conversation with yourself and tell yourself, I'm doing this no matter what anybody says, or like, you just got to do the damn thing.
Yeah, it sucks that as humans we're like wired that way. It's just how it is, people. Like you're gonna always like I got so like literally, bro, I got 700 5-star reviews on this thing. That two 1 stars. I'm like, why would I do? But it's like that's how we're, you know, our pre-mammalian brain is always gonna, trigger the negative because that's the lion, that's the tiger that was supposed to kill us. So I think understanding that and like even if you take that what Rob just said, like you could look at the people that appreciate what you do, the people that don't like that. I feel like I get these talks about people from people feeling like worthy and saying I don't feel loved. And I always that was something that always hit me because that was something I felt as like a man without confidence, not having a father, all this stuff. And it's like I feel like you could always choose to look at the people that love you because I think everybody always has somebody, whether it be one, two, whatever, and anytime I start feeling it, I start looking at the people. And I was like, this week I had my cousin's wedding. It was such a beautiful. There's hundreds of people that just love me. Or you could look at the two people who you don't talk to. Like it's just shifting. And you take that approach in everything. Like even with Instagram, there's the even for the people who are just starting 10, 15 people, whatever that may be, you're really affecting them. Like once I started taking that approach in the podcast, like I really started talking and engaging with my audience. That's when everything started shifting. Like, wow, it's not about the thousands of people that aren't listening. It's about the hundreds that are listening. Like once you make that shift and authentically start moving towards that, everything kind of blossoms. It was cool. It's a little shift.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's cool that you mentioned that because the other day I actually got a DM from someone. I think he was like from India or something like that. But he sent me a before and after picture of what he looked like, and he looked incredible. Like one picture he looked just like a normal person, and the next picture he looked like he was like in shape. He was doing very well, and he messaged me that picture, and he was like, this is because of you. Thank you. And that like right there, even that one, if I were to get that one message throughout this entire process over the last few months of doing these videos, it was worth it. And that's like hearing those stories and getting those people that message you and say, hey, like this really helps out, or I'm sure you have your fair share of people who message you telling you how your podcast helps out, because I 100% believe that it does. It helps out so many people. But just knowing that and actually getting validation from those people saying, hey, this helped out, I'm in a tough spot in my life. It is better. It's a better feeling than winning the lottery. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's there. You get so much satisfaction from hearing that from people, and that's the reason why I do it. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why you do what you do as well. So
yeah, dude, that's those things are ripples that we're creating. Like you don't realize like what you do. Like I was in the gym the other day, and always the young guys, Rob. They just come to me like I'm the sage, and I just gave it to this kid, And it's just like, wow, like look at this little thing going on. Now I walk in, I feel like the famous podcast from my gym. It's just like there's that selfishness to it, but you know what I mean. It's fun when you get to change, because that person, if they take that approach and say, well, Rob changed me, let me see if I could, just imprint my little creative thing onto somebody, and then all of a sudden you're doing it, and you don't even realize the impact you can really have on people, particularly when we start teaming up. And I know we're gonna get I got right after you came on, there's so many mental health guys that were like, wow, Rob was really, I'm like, yeah, not all these bodybuilders are just dumb juices. Like they're nice, thoughtful, conscientious guys. So it's cool, man.
Yeah. Kind of want to like shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about something real quick. So
Yeah, man.
So it was funny because I jumped on the scale, I think it was like 3 days ago, and I weighed 160 pounds, which is pretty light. And I think I started at the beginning of these 14, 15 weeks at like 188, 190. So I lost quite a bit of weight, probably like about 30 pounds. But it really made me start understanding and realizing, it got me, I would say, back down. So let me back up a little bit. So in high school, I was kind of known as like the skinny kid, super skinny. I played football, but I was 150, 155 pounds and, 6 foot. So I was skinny. And, whenever people, make comments about it or anything like that, I would feel really self-conscious. And like, I just kind of wanted to make it a point that you don't have to be overweight for someone to make a comment about you and it affect you. Like people who are skinny also, feel that effect as well. Because I definitely felt that effect in high school. But now that I'm kind of getting down to like close to that same weight that I was in high school, granted, I have a lot more muscle mass and a lot less fat than I did in high school, but it's crazy because right now I'm struggling with that mental battle of like, wow, like I almost weigh as much as I weighed in high school. And it's kind of getting me to the point where a lot of friends and family, they make, kind of small comments where they're just like, oh, you're looking skinny, or you're slimming down. And, it kind of like brings back those feelings and those memories of that. And it's honestly, it's not a super great feeling. And obviously, like I know they mean well, and they don't mean any disrespect or anything like that in that sense, but that's something that I've been struggling with. And it's something that a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of men's physique competitors and, you know, females as well in the bodybuilding world, they all struggle with this once they get down to a very low body fat percentage. I know Chris Bumstead, he's a very famous,
Yeah,
bodybuilder.
Sibo.
He was talking about this exact same thing, and I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, I could kind of relate with that. And then once I actually like stepped on that scale and I was starting to like look at myself in the mirror, instantly it was like I felt exactly what he was feeling. And it's I mean, it's cool because I get on here and I get on my YouTube and my Instagram and I tell people how I'm feeling and stuff like that. And I think like seeing his kind of story and how he felt made me feel better, because I knew that he was struggling with that exact same thing. And that's kind of the entire reason why I have my Instagram, the entire reason, I know I touched on this on the last episode, but kind of the whole reason why I started my Instagram is because, just because I post something that's sad, or post something that's emotional or depressing, like it doesn't really necessarily mean that I'm going through that at that moment. It just means that I've been through that, and I want people to understand and know that it's okay to feel those types of things, and it's okay to to struggle and to be at that point in your life, because everyone does it, no matter how many followers they have on Instagram or how much they show on Instagram that hey, I'm living this great life. They never show you the struggles, and that's kind of the whole point of my Instagram, is to show people that it's okay. Us people who have a high amount of followers, or have our own businesses, like we all go through those exact same struggles. We're all normal people, so that's kind of
Yeah,
the
dude.
whole point of it.
No, and I felt that like immediately, but before I even messaged you, we started talking. It's like you're able to be vulnerable in those moments. And I think, yeah, I take it as it's not your feel. It's just that you felt that in the past, as we all have. It's just being, I think it's something that if people, the fitness industry did a little bit more, I think it would be more, some people would be more open to it and like more understanding of like how this is. Like, honestly, this never would go through my brain of like, oh, like you're getting, like you're doing a physique competition, like analytically it doesn't make sense, right? But it's those stories. So there's three different levels of stories, right, Rob? There's the stories that the culture and society tells us, which those are the highest level. That's more the classic stuff. Then there's the stories that the people closest to us tell us, which is, you know, how you said, everybody's, because I lost 20 pounds, not because I wanted to, Rob, just because of stress, right? So I'm hearing this from my family. It's like, oh shit, shut up. But then the stories that you tell yourselves, those are the most powerful, because those have been programmed in you since you were the skinny kid at 14, 15. It's not going to be a 6-month process removing those thoughts. It's not going to be a year process. It's probably going to take some time to really remove that. But at the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing with starting to say like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to, this is the goal. You have to balance that almost primitive thing of feeling that you conditioned yourself with, like this new version of like the divine self, almost. That's the way I call it, like the divine version of Rob, because bro, you look amazing. Like you, and I know, and as much people will tell you that it doesn't really matter. That's why, you know, even when in my gym, I'll train with these bodybuilders and they're never happy with their body. And I'm like, you're just going to keep torturing yourself. Like at what point are you going to feel content? Like, what is the point of doing it? It's like Sisyphus rolling the hill. I roll the hill up and I roll the hill down. And this is just this game you're playing with yourself. How do you feel physically? Like, is this how you expected to feel? Because now, what have you been cutting for a month?
Well, I've been cutting for 3 weeks out. I started at 14 weeks, so it's been a good 2 months since I actually started. I'm very, very deep into this now. Like I said, I got 3 weeks left. This is kind of the go time. I think that I did start this diet off a little bit too aggressive, but I actually ended up I was sitting at about 1,850 calories going into this, which was way too low to start off with, which I you know, did a lot of research and, you know, found out that, okay, this probably isn't the best idea. That's the whole reason for this process. But I ended up bumping my calories up to 2,000 a day, 200 grams of carbs, 200 grams of protein, and 45 grams of fat. And then I've kind of just been sitting around there for the last 4 to 5 weeks and just doing my cardio every day. The cardio is what I'm counting on to put me in a caloric deficit, which is ultimately the goal. But I'm actually feeling pretty good for losing, 20 pounds in the last, 2 months and being in this caloric deficit and doing cardio every day. I don't always feel motivated, and the gym mainly feels like a job as opposed to like a hobby at this moment. I feel like it's kind of going to go back to normal after this whole prep, but honestly, even like working out with people is dissatisfying to me at this moment, just because, yeah, man, like I have friends that I would work out with all the time, and I would just be like, yeah, man, I'm just gonna work out by myself, because like there's just some times where I want to get in the gym, I want to get my work done, and I just want to like go home. I need to make my meals, make my food. I don't have time to kind of bullshit, for a little bit, because even right now, like I've been trying to edit this YouTube video, man, for the last 2 days, and there's just not enough time in the day. And so I have to, it's all a balance. And, right now at this moment, I think working out it's not really like a hobby for me. It's more just like a job. Like I have to get in and get my work done and go home. You know what I mean? So that's also an interesting aspect that haven't really experienced too much in the past. So it's definitely something that I'm working on, trying to struggle with. So,
well, I would think, right, at this point, and for everybody that, not super into the fitness, if you're not listening to the Rob's episode before, what Rob's basically doing is he's trying to get all the fat off his body, right? So he's at a caloric deficit while doing the hour cardio, which is that's crazy amount. So I would have said mentally, I would be kind of shot. Like, how is it as far as I would think there's probably two sides to this. Is like you're 10 weeks in, you're disciplined, but when you see like your favorite food, like what's your favorite? I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to get your brain there. Yeah. I'm saying when you show your favorite food, whatever, I would think though, because you're so in, you really can't even like fuck this up. Like, is that pressure? Like, do you feel that at all?
Yeah, actually. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me now, especially because I am like super deep into this prep. But I think like the defining moment was like, okay, it's go time. I can't like fuck this up. Like, was when I bought my NPC card as well as registered for the actual show and seeing that, hey, like I'll see you on show day. I was like, oh shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've done diets before, and I've done diets to where I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this diet and see kind of how this works out, and maybe I'll compete. And it was always that like, no, I'm not gonna compete. I'll compete next year type situation. But once you buy your NPC card, once you register for that show, like it's fucking go time. You know what I mean? So like that was kind of one of the things that kind of kicked me into gear and was like, all right, let's put our head down, let's get this done. And we're not going to do any slip up. And actually, so one of my buddies, he's competing in the exact same show. He was in the military just like me. He was actually one of my recruiters in high school, but he competes in bodybuilding as well, and he's doing the exact same show. And I talk to him from time to time. He gives me some posing tips, and we talk about how our diets are going. Oh man, it sucks, cardio, blah. But basically, he told me, yeah, man, I've had like 4, 5, 6 slip ups, or I tell my trainer, hey, I need a refeed day, I need to go get a burger. And the fact that like I'm not in no way, shape, or form like saying that I'm better than him or anything like that, but the fact that I haven't had any slip ups and I stayed as disciplined and as I was, it kind of proved my entire aspect of this entire doing this show by myself, because it shows that someone can have a trainer, right? And they can go through this bodybuilding process or whatever, and they can be given all the tools that they need, their calories, their workouts, all that stuff, the posing. But if they're not following any of it to a T, it's not gonna matter as much as someone who's done their research and doing the whole thing themselves, and you know being is like as disciplined as they are. Because like I haven't had any slip ups, and I'm extremely proud of that. Like you have to have those conversations with yourself, and it's one of those things that you just have to struggle through. You have to get through. You got to put your head down. You got to dig deep, and you just got to do the damn thing.
Now, as far as this consistency goes, I feel like this is useful for everybody. Like at this point, I feel like it's already a habit, right? We're doing it 10 weeks. It should be, you're not even really thinking about it. What was the hardest part of turning this diet or this regimen into a habit? Was it the first week? Was it the first 2 weeks? Usually they say it takes about 16, 25 days to something become a habit, but I'm curious to know what was the biggest struggle point?
I think it took about a month into the diet to get 100% serious about the whole thing, because at the beginning it's not super crucial to count every macro that you put in your body, but I think it definitely took about a month for me to actually get into the cardio habit and like, okay, I'll just eat a little bit less calories and I'll do cardio tomorrow. And I'd push it off, which I wouldn't really necessarily count it as a slip up. It's more of like a sacrifice, makeup type situation, which that's fine as well. If you want to eat less calories one day to make up for the cardio that you burn to put yourself in a caloric deficit, that's fine. But about a month in, that's when I had to have my that talk to myself. That's actually when I started doing cardio after work, started bringing my clothes, with me to work, and then going straight to the gym right after. Because it was one of those things where it's like, all right, every single night that I'm leaving work, I'm taking my ass to the gym. I'm doing my cardio. And I have, when I had that talk with myself, that conversation with myself, it's been nonstop. So
have you been looking at this? Because I think what would happen is, let's say you put it into a normal person without the discipline of a Jedi like yourself. Like, 14 weeks, I have to eat clean for 14 weeks times 7. That's this many days. Were you breaking it down like by a weekly standpoint, or were you doing it by like a day standpoint? Were you doing it by a meal? Because I feel like when you break stuff down to pieces, it does become easy. Like, I just got to get through. I just got to eat right for this day, and then take it day by day. How did you break that down?
So I typically eat the same foods every day. I like to keep things stupid simple. I pretty much start off with like an egg scramble of like egg beaters with hash browns and like some turkey sausage.
Pre-workout before you eat, or before you work out?
So let me back up. So my typical day will go, when I wake up, I'll eat my one serving of oatmeal as a pre-workout meal, and then I'll go work out. And then when I get back from my workout, I'll drink a protein shake to hold me over a little bit, and then I'll make my breakfast, which is my breakfast scramble, and then I'll also make my two remaining meals for the day, for that I eat at work. And then after work, so I'll eat my pre-workout meal about an hour or two before I leave work, and then I'll work out. And then after that, I like to save anywhere between like 50 and 100 calories for the end of the day, because every time I do my cardio, I always crave something sweet. So I started doing like either strawberries or raspberries, and I sprinkle a little bit of stevia on there, and that right there is like the perfect post-workout snack, where like it satisfies that sweet craving. But in terms of, it's pretty much, I live a boring life in terms of food. There is one time that I went out last weekend. I did count my macros. I went to, I think it was Texas Roadhouse. I got a 16-ounce sirloin. I had some broccoli on the side and some mashed potatoes. It was 1,000 calories. It was but I planned my meals out to where, okay, I'm not going to eat anything for the first half of the morning. I'll have like a protein shake and maybe one meal before that, but I'm going to save majority of my calories for the day. So I guess to answer your question, I look at it as a day. I have a daily caloric amount, and I'll kind of base my day and my meals off of like what I'm doing. Like if I'm having a busy day, I'll kind of, move that around a little bit. But yeah, I take it day by day. And honestly, it may sound like a long time, 3 months of dieting, 2.5 months of dieting, but honestly, like doing this thing, it has flew by so quick. So it's I don't know, it's one of those things where you just got to take it day by day.
Do you feel like you've become, this is almost like cross-trained you to become more disciplined in other areas of your life?
Yes. I feel it's giving me that mentality of, okay, I look back and I'm like, okay, I have done this. I've got from point A to point B. Granted, I'm not actually at point B yet, but I'm very, very close to point B. I was like, okay, I was very disciplined in this. Like, what else can I be disciplined in? What else can I achieve just by, clicking that submit button, getting that show day? What else can I set my eyes on and attack that full force? And I have so many ideas. I have so many things. My YouTube, I'm trying to bring up some business ideas I'm trying to bring up, and everything. It's moving at 1,000 miles an hour, but it's definitely kind of pointing me in the direction of like, hey, this is easy. This can be done. You just got to put your head down. You just got to do the damn thing. And I mentioned that a lot, the do the damn thing, because it's like my life philosophy. You just got to do it. A lot of people lack that motivation to just get up and stop being lazy and just do it.
I'm with you, man. How much are you sleeping per night?
So last night I got about 4 hours.
Jesus Christ.
But I average about 6, I would say.
That's not
at the most 7. I typically don't sleep more than 8 hours. Personally, I think I'm just as tired, so I'd rather have that hour or two, to be able to do something productive. That's kind of my thing. Is I'm gonna be just as tired if I sleep 6 hours as if I sleep 8 hours. So if I'm able to wake up in 6 hours and feel the exact same way, why not make those 2 hours useful? Because 2 hours times 7 days a week, that's 14 hours. You know what I mean? That's 14 hours of productivity that you can have doing whatever you need to, whatever you want, your hobbies, your whatever you need to get done, all that kind of stuff. But the time is money, man. Like, a lot of people don't realize when they sleep 10, 12 hours a day, or they don't maximize the amount of time that they have in a day. And it baffles me that people are able to sleep for 11, 12 hours a day, and not feel the sense of being unproductive. Like, just I can't do it.
Yeah. No, dude, it gets the way I had to kick it into gear with my little cousins was like, you have to look that you are a depreciating asset. That's the way it does get. Listen, for everybody listening to this, don't get too hung up on this, because I did this and you'll just torture yourself. But like, if you look at like, you make X amount of dollars an hour, like that's how much you could be making if you put that to work, right? If you wasted 3 hours a day times, you're like, mine's like $800 an hour or something like that. I'm wasting $3,000 a day if I'm not doing something productive. So don't get fucking crazy with this doing thing, and we have to break it up. But I'm with you, because that's like, I'm not going to be as valuable as I am next year. We're just getting old, Rob. It's just how this fucking works.
Yeah. That's definitely a fact. Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting journey. Another quick little update. You know, I feel like my relationship with food doing this entire diet has definitely improved, in terms of my palate and kind of, I feel like going in, because I'm going to compete next year and probably the years, moving forward. But I'm excited to get onto this reverse diet and just get big, get strong, and try to improve every year.
So at a high level here, what you're going to do for the next 3 weeks is keep everything relatively the same, just really take out carbs. Is that accurate? Maybe bump up protein, or
so I'm going to keep everything generally the same. I'll probably do 2 more small refeed days of carbs. I'm going to keep the protein and fat the exact same, just bump up the carbs slightly for 2 days, spread out over the next 2 weeks. And then once I hit peak week, I'm going to go into a depletion phase, which essentially means that I probably won't consume more than 30 grams of carbs for 2 to 3 days. And then once I get done with that depletion phase, that'll put me probably at Thursday, and then Thursday and Friday are my 2 high carb days. So I'll be refilling my muscles, replenishing my glycogen cells, so that we get that about 25% fuller look once I step on stage on that Saturday. So, but yeah, I am going to be consuming probably anywhere between 450 to 500 grams of carbs on Friday and moving into Saturday. So it's going to be, I'm excited for that, because that ain't healthy food that I'm going to be consuming. It's going to be like simple carb stuff that gets into my system pretty quickly that I can digest. So it's going to be like some candy bars, some rice cakes, all that kind of stuff. So nice. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, for people to take anything from this, you can't build muscle and lose fat at the same time. You just, unless you're on some good stuff. So for people that message me about this, very simple to do. Take, Rob, what tool are you using? What, a macro counter, or is there a certain?
Oh yeah. So on my phone, there's an app. It's called My Plate. It's very similar to MyFitnessPal, except it's free. So
I'm going to link that. I'll link that below. People, take this as your control. Take whatever you eat. We don't care about that. If you want to gain weight, 500 calorie surplus. If you want to lose weight, 500 calorie deficit. That's the whole trick. Sorry to ruin it for all the fitness enthusiasts out there. Sorry. But am I accurate, Rob? I know.
Yeah, 100% accurate. And then in that app, actually, I should be sponsored by this app. But so in that app, it actually tells you like, hey, do you want to lose weight? Okay, how much do you want to lose? 1 pound per week, 2 pounds per week, or vice versa. If you want to gain weight, it'll say 1 pound, and then it'll actually give you your own macros that you need for your body type, like your height, your weight. So it's super awesome. I go off of my own little thing. I input my calories just so I'm able to track it. But yeah, it's a super helpful tool. I recommend it for everyone. I recommend it to all my clients. That's because I have online clients as well. And yeah, it's a super helpful tool. So,
Rob, what do you think because I feel like my issue, and I'm talking from, I have fart-faced little cousins here, like, oh, I want to bulk for a month and I want to cut for a month. I'm like, guys, I'm not an expert. It just doesn't sound right. What do you think is the proper amount people should be bulking or putting on weight and then cutting? Is it like a 2? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Or?
So properly, I would say at the very least a year for bulking. If they want to do it proper, at the very, very least. I recommend more, even 2, maybe, 3 years if you want to like be at that very, very, great point in life and, not have to do like a whole bunch more other than just maintaining. But I would say a good year at least for bulking, which I struggled with this in the past. I would always go, 3-4 months, and I'm like, man, I'm losing my abs. I can't, I'm just going to go on a mini diet, But no, like now I have a different perspective on this. I know I want to do it right. I want to gain some lean muscle. If you want to gain some lean muscle mass, at least a year bulking being a caloric surplus, increase your protein to about 1.5 times.
Rob, I'm going to lose the abs though.
I'm going to lose the abs.
This is my, Rob, I'm not going to lie to you. I go the other way. So I was 280 pounds at one point. So once I start feeling thicker, I go into this, how you were in high school, I go to fat kid Scott mode. I'm like, I just got to not eat. how would you work through that? Is it just saying fuck it at this point? Because I feel like this is the only way to do it. Because I can't get over that. That's the hump. More of a personal question. That was for me. Because like I know what we got to do. We just said it. But the second I start losing these abs, man, I'm gonna fucking have a freak out. I'm gonna have a freak out.
So there's also a certain point that you get to where, you know, maybe you're gaining a little bit too much body fat. Maybe you have to up the proteins. Like, you know, maybe you're doing a little bit too aggressively. Me personally, I don't think I've ever not had abs. I've got up to 196 pounds and I still have had, you know, abs. They weren't obviously as visible as they are now, but I would recommend maybe scaling it down just a little bit in terms of caloric surplus, maybe upping the protein a little bit, because the whole goal is to build muscle. And you can't do that without, you know, having a sufficient amount of protein and being in a caloric surplus. So obviously the more calories you have, the more protein you have, the better it's going to be for recovery and building that muscle. But, you know, there is a point where you can't consume 10,000 calories a day going out of this diet and expect to not, you know, gain 20% body fat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to find that happy medium. And yeah, you are going to get to a point where you're going to start to lose your abs a little bit, but you have to just trust the process. Understand that, okay, there is muscle that's growing under this fat. And, you know, maybe I'm not going to post that ab picture, you know, in the bathroom, you know, while being at this high body fat percentage, but in a year, watch, you know what I mean? Like
it's about that delayed gratification,
Exactly.
just seeing it. Yeah. I think for me, it's always like a fear of like, you're never going to lose the weight. It's like, bro, you always lose the weight. It's just part of the thing. So it is a confidence thing. It's cool, man. All right, dude. Rob, I wish you the absolute best of luck. If you're up to it and you want to come on like a couple days before, and please come join us, because I just want to see how miserable you are, honestly. But bro, it's up to you. Come on after, whatever works. Everybody check out Rob, all the info below, and just follow his journey, because it's been a pleasure and his stuff is just really authentic and really just I feel it every time. So thanks, man.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Of course, brother. That's it, people. As always, stay safe, stay positive, stay blessed. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.